What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to bring my full review to you guys on the Kershaw Livewire. You guys can see right there, Auto Kershaw. The Livewire is their newest OTF. I believe they've made a few other OTFs before, but they've been manual ones. I believe this is their first, attempt at a true OTF. It is made in the USA, which right here is their little Made in the USA logo. There it says 9000, which this is the Livewire 9000. It's designed by Matt Diskin. Yep. This is a serial number 271. It's 20 CV, which is really, really nice. And then I believe that logo right there means that it's an in-house design by Kershaw, which is kind of confusing when Matt Diskin designed it. So I'm not really sure about that. It's either that or it's the Auto logo for Kershaw. Now that I think about it, I think it's the Auto knife logo for Kershaw. So I take that back about possibly being an in-house design. It's definitely designed by Matt Diskin. But for materials, you obviously have a stone-washed spear point style blade, which is actually pretty usable for EDC and everyday tasks. A lot of the times when you have OTF knives like Microtech and some other manufacturers, Heretic and even Axial Gear and what's the other one, Guardian Tactical, sometimes their grinds are really thick and they're not the best for EDC tasks, especially when it comes to like spear point and like double-edged dagger style blades. But this comes down to a pretty thin edge. It came razor sharp and it's 20 CV, so you're getting a really high-end material in this package. But you have a sort of stone-washed gray actuator to match the blade. You have a mini deep carry canted pot clip, which is really nice, that you can switch lefty or righty. It's mounted from the rear, which is really cool. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of the way this is canted, but it's definitely grown on me, and it carries very, very well. It kind of tucks itself into the corner of your pocket, and I can always appreciate that. Just makes for an easy and simple carry. But yeah, it's really all for materials on this. I've reviewed a few OTFs before on the channel, and I always have to remember that you don't talk about as much with them just because you don't have as many things to talk about as you normally do with a folder, if that makes any sense. But a huge thing is this is made in the USA. Great materials. Action is good, which I guess we'll go right into action. I haven't handled an OTF for quite a while. I think the last one that I handled was probably summer of 2021, and that was the Microtech UTX85 in like the apocalyptic or battle-worn Tanto pattern that I bought in Nashville when I was on vacation with my fiance's family. We went and visited I think it was Nashville Tactical Lounge. It was the only knife shop I found in that area. So my future brother-in-law and I actually rode like the bird scooters across town because we left our Airbnb early. We went over there, checked it out, and then met back up with our family like an hour later. So that was a fun day. I really enjoyed cruising through Nashville on some scooters with him. And yeah, I bought the knife there, but I'm selling it. But I've experienced that. I've experienced, I believe, did I have a shift in? I think I had a shift in from Axial Gear. I've had a Microtech, I think it's the Katana series from Red Wolf EDC. Kyle over there, he sent me that to check out. I've had a Guardian Tactical a Recon 035, I think, from Kevin. And I think those are all the ones that I've handled. No, Kevin, actually, in his very first package he ever sent me, it was the Protect Malibu, the Spyderco Bombshell, and the UTX85, but it was in the Bounty Hunter edition. And that was the first package Kevin ever sent me. I think it's like my second video on my channel. If you want a blast from the past, definitely go check that one out. Back when I was even more awkward and even more afraid to talk into the camera. But yeah, long story short, I've handled probably 4 or 5 different OTFs. And the Microtech ones definitely, from an action standpoint, hit hard, but they are definitely hard to actuate. Sorry about that, guys. There was a brief interruption. My phone was full of storage, so I had to go back, and I just deleted all my pictures off there and uploaded them. I used Google Photos. So there was no photos on there, but my messages were just so full of videos and links and shit. So there's like 10 gigabytes being used up on there. So I had to take a little bit of time to delete all that stuff and make some storage on my phone, because I was already like 5 minutes into the video. I didn't want to just scrap it and, you know, start over another time. But hopefully you guys are still able to see it okay. Did get a little bit darker, but we're going to bang the rest of this video out, and everything's going to be okay. But I went back and checked, and what my last talking point was, I was mentioning how going into action for the Kershaw Livewire, obviously, when you're talking about microtext and stuff that I've experienced before, they tend to, you know, hit definitely pretty hard, but the actuator and the way the stepping on here is jimped, it's just so aggressive, and it almost like tears your finger up. Like you come to sit and do this for, you know, a whole lot of time, because your finger's just going to be eaten alive by, you know, how aggressive their jimping is on there. Well, this one, it's very subtle. It definitely gives you enough grip to dive into it and to just, you know, fire with it and to bring it down. But, you know, overall, it is just, it's so much better and more well done than microtext, and that's a huge compliment to Kershaw for this being their, you know, their first true, you know, premium model of an OTF. It's just, you know, it's comfortable, allows you to fire and bring it home. And while this doesn't fire and hit like super duper hard, for me, it hits hard enough. You know, it's very satisfying just to wax out there. And I haven't had this knife fail me once. It did come off the track one time when my sister's boyfriend, we were all like, he wanted to look at my knives, and he was, you know, checking out this one. And he was bringing up like if it would fire into paper and stuff like that. And I told him how it has basically like a built-in safety. So once it hits something, it doesn't like continue to drive into it. So that's the only time it ever came off the track, you know, for me and for anyone that I was, you know, watching use it. But, so it's very reliable. I haven't had to lube it or anything. It's just been very, you know, very fun to fidget with. You know, it definitely, you have to add some pressure. If you guys can, it's not an easy task to do, but you definitely have to get it almost all the way up, and then it'll fire out. So it's not like you just have to like barely push it, like one of those like wimpy type of pushes. But it's not gonna, like, you can sit here and you can fire it over and over again and not get tired of it, and your thumb's not gonna get worn out. You know, I could probably even do it, I was gonna say with my pointer finger, but I can if you get a good enough leverage. That's more of a workout for your index finger, just because you're not used to using those muscles in that regard. But overall, very comfortable, very easy to fire. And while, again, it doesn't hit the hardest, for my taste, it hits, you know, hard enough. It's very satisfying. And that's kind of, you know, as much, you know, a lot of people I feel like buy OTFs for, you know, the fidget factor and just the fact that it'll do this. And I'll be totally honest, that's, you know, kind of a huge reason why I wanted to buy this. You know, obviously I didn't have an OTF in the collection, and I was like, you know what, you know, I should have an OTF in the collection, you know, just to have one. And this one looked cool, and it was a new knife and everything like that, you know, and I went right into it. And I've loved the knife. I think it's fantastic for the price. The action is great. But, you know, there is a little bit of you know, of buying an OTF where you're like, a little bit of you just is buying it for the fact that it does this over and over and over again. But, you know, with the Livewire, with this specific knife, you can sit there and do that over and over again without your thumb getting either tired or your thumb getting ripped alive by the jimping. You know, and the aluminum has jimping here and up here. So when you're gripping it, you have jimping right here to kind of grip into the knife, and back here. So all around, it's very comfortable, and it gives you a great purchase to fire in and fire out repeatedly. So, you know, action is really, really well done on the Livewire. I'm pretty impressed with it. But next up is Ergos. And, you know, it's a pretty, if you guys have held an OTF knife, they're all pretty similar. They're relatively, you know, squared off. They're square bodied, aluminum bodied, typically knives. But this has just milling and jimping. And it's like a nice, soft, subtle touch to the aluminum. I think I heard Kevin in his review talk about how, like, he's used to aluminum being cold and stuff like that. but for some reason this isn't. Like, it's nice and subtle and soft to the touch, and overall just really well done. It's super comfortable in hand. You know, I can get all 4 fingers on here very easily. You know, obviously you're going to be right in this grip right here, so you can apply pressure and, you know, decompress and compress the knife, or fire and, you know, close the knife. But overall, it's a great size. I believe this is right around a 3.3 inch blade. So the body of the knife is just perfect for my hands. You obviously have a little bit sticking out at the back. But, you know, as far as OTFs go, some can be kind of uncomfortable the way, you know, they're jimped or the way they're shaped. You know, they all have roughly the same shape of body, but there's different quirks and different features of, you know, each manufacturer's OTF design that can be different, that can maybe cause hot spots. You know, the paw clip does not cause a single hot spot. It's pretty flush to this, the scales. And, you know, you're choked up far enough, you're not really going to be able to feel it. But even if you have huge mitts and you're choked back here, it's a mini clip, which I love. It reminds me of the Benchmade bug out clip. I love that thing. It's one of my favorite clips in the industry. And this thing just, it fills that role sort of very, very well. Very comfortable. You know, goes in a pocket very easily, but overall, no hot spots, which really aids the ergo department. And, you know, just overall, this thing is very comfortable in hand. The way the jimping is shaped and placed, and overall, just, you know, I really have no complaints. And that seems to be the theme of this knife in general. No complaints at all. But next up is carry. I'm trying to get this in before I lose too much sunlight for you guys. But I just talked about how good the clip is. Lefty or righty carry. It's mounted off of the back here. And it is canted, which again, I talked about in the beginning. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy that because I wasn't, you know, it was new to me, but it's nice because when you have it in your pocket, it kind of like nudges the knife into the corner a little bit more, and it kind of like pushes it in there, is you know, if you guys can envision that. So it works really, really well. The retention is awesome. You know, it is a little bit low there for the, you know, getting your pan under, which took me a little bit of time to get used to. I typically had to use 2 hands to get this in and out, but if you had it enough and you carried it enough, you would get used to it. Maybe just have a little bit more leverage to dig your pant under in that situation. But really, that's the only gripe with it, because it's lightweight, you know, drops into your pocket, lefty or righty carry. You do have a little jimping down here, but, you know, you don't have a flipper tab or anything like that, so your hand's just going to brush by it, you know, if you're reaching in for coins, medicine, chapstick, you know, anything small that might drop underneath the knife. But no other true complaints. You know, it's lightweight. The aluminum feels really good. Fit and finish is awesome. The pot clip is, you know, very well done. Again, I love how they canded it. It's really an ingenious thing that they did. It aids in the carry a lot. And yeah, just an overall good size. Fits in the hand, you know, nice. So it fits in the pocket even better. Again, no really true complaints, just besides maybe lifting up the lip on that clip a little bit more to add for better leverage getting in and out of your pocket. But yeah, that leads me into my final category of price point and what I recommend this knife. So I bought this off of Blue Creek Knives, which will be linked down below. I don't know if Brian has them in stock, but I will leave a link directly to this too, in addition to my normal link that I leave if you're interested. They go for $239.99, but if you use my code 814ADC, if you use someone else's code like Kevin's code, you can get 10% off. So I believe it dropped it down to, I think it paid like $216, $218, $219, somewhere in that category. So basically $222, sub $220 for a made in the USA knife with a awesome action, just very fun. Doesn't fire as hard as a Microtech or as hard as a Heretic or as hard as a Guardian Tactical or Guardian Tactical, or even maybe a Axial Gear. But to me, the fit and finish, and you know, Kevin talked about this, like there's not really much rattle. Like, of course you have, like, this is always going to have a little bit of noise going on with it, but it's really well built. Like you're not going to be getting any, maybe a little bit just from the actuator. But it's well built, and you know, just because a lot of times OTFs have that rattle to them, just because that's how they're built, that's how they're made. But this is super well done by Kershaw. I really have to give them a round of applause for, you know, seemingly stepping out of their comfort zone into sort of a premium knife build, because they're so used to, you know, basically everything that they sell is basically $100 or less. Maybe a few of their like factory series or a few of their sprint runs was a little over 100. But anything in this category of price range, which is like $200 to $240, it's typically ZT branded. Like Zero Tolerance is Kershaw's parent company. It's their premium company. And Kevin made a good point in his review, and he said that he thinks that this was still kept as a Kershaw model because he believes they are going to come out with some like bougie, really premium, $300 to $350 OTF and brand it under ZT and have like, really cool materials and like a super steel, probably Magna Cut or something like that. And I kind of agree with that. I think that's a really good way to think of it. But I really have to give them a round of applause for, again, stepping out of their comfort zone, making a really good product for a very accessible price. I think this is the best valued OTF you can buy right now. I would buy this over a Microtech. I would buy this over any brand you could think of for the value. Heck, even Axial Gear, they used to be like right around $200 for made in the USA knives. You could probably even get them for under $200 when you use someone like Kevin's code or Tri-State ADC's code. I think those are the two that I know of that have codes through Axial Gear. Grady's Gear, I think, had a code. At the time when they first kind of came out and were like gaining legs and gaining popularity, I think you could find one of them for under $180 or something like that. But now they're even close to like $275, $300. So this even has better value than that. So like I said, I think this is the best valued OTF you can get for the materials. You're getting a made in the USA blade, 20 CV, really good ergos, really good action. Again, it might not fire as hard, but it's still a damn good deployment. It's smooth, it's easy. Just a very good package for, the price. So $220 if you can get a code, if you can buy them off of a website that, provides codes to different affiliates like myself and Blue Creek. You really cannot beat that. I think that's hands down. I mean, think about it. The Axial Gear goes for, we'll even say $250 to $260, somewhere in there. Excuse me. So that's even, $35, $40, $50 cheaper than that. And it's just a great value. It's a great deal. I really hope they continue to take this platform and expand on it, do different, different variations of colors, different blade shapes. Like this in a Warney, or like a sheepsfoot style blade would be awesome. Drop point would be cool. A double-edged dagger would be cool. Obviously the spear point is like a classic OTF styling, so I really did think this looks really, really good. But overall, like, I think they can take this platform and expand on it and run with it and make it, and just grab it by the horns and make more good products from it. And I hope they do that, because Kershaw, they have some cool products. I think this past wave they just come out with in January of 2023, with this and some of the Access bar lock style knives they come out with. While they're not the best in materials, I think they've, they're headed in the right direction. So, yeah, I can absolutely recommend this knife. Again, the Blue Creek knives link directly to the Livewire will be linked down below. If they have one in stock, please don't forget to use code 814EDC. Saves you guys some money, helps me out, helps Brian out. It is a win-win-win. Yeah, just a fantastic knife. And here comes the kicker. As much as I like this knife, as much as I really have enjoyed having it, as much as to me and my needs and my collection, this is the perfect OTF knife, I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I wanted to get this review done because I've kind of been contemplating selling it, just because I have a custom fixed blade being made that's going to be needing to be paid for. And, the funds from this might, it's like, would I rather have an OTF that I don't carry all the time, that I don't, do I just have it for maybe that fidget factor? As good of a knife as it is, as good of as a cutting tool as it is, do I just have it just because I wanted an OTF where I can get this little fixed blade in? It's about the same size as a Jacob Creates Chickadee, which I used to have, and then I sold it to go towards my fiance's wedding or engagement ring at the time. And now I'm really wanting another small fixed blade. So it's like, do I want a fixed blade? I can obviously afford both, but it's just like I'm trying to be, choosy with my purchases. So I might end up letting this one go to help fund that fixed blade. As bad, it's weird because I just gave this such a polished and such a, raving review of how this is like the best value for an OTF. and then I tell you guys, oh, I'm going to sell it. But that's not because I don't love the knife. I really do love it. That's why I'm hoping, you know, in the future, if I do sell it, you know, in the next couple days, weeks, whatever it is, I'm hoping in the future they come out with more colors, you know, more blades, different blade styles, blade shapes for it. Because, you know, I love black, but I would love to maybe get like a red one, or, you know, an OD green or something like that. So Kershaw, if you guys watch this, definitely take this platform and expand on it, make it in different colors, you know, different blade shapes, fat carbon, micarta, you know, different styles of aluminum, you know, Warncliffs, drop points, dagger blades, all that jazz. As much popularity, as much, you know, good feedback you've gotten from this, take it and run with it. You know, you definitely have a fan in me, and I'm definitely going to be, you know, I'm going to miss it if I do sell it, but, you know, it's just one of those things. You sell good knives to get good knives in. But in the future, when I have, you know, quote unquote adult money to throw around and to be able to spend more, you know, freely without having to, you know, save up as much and to look towards the future as much, I'm definitely I want at least one OTF in my collection, and I definitely think I'm gonna come back to this one, you know, if I sell it. But you know, I've already rambled and raved for over 20 minutes now, so I apologize, guys, but I think this was a pretty passionate video. I think once my camera was back on, once I got more storage for it, I think you guys were able to see that I really do enjoy this OTF. I think the Livewire is fantastic, great value. Kershaw, 2 thumbs up. Round of applause for you guys. You really came out with a really good product, and just overall, it's really, I'm glad to have owned it, possibly have owned it. But yeah, so this was my full review on the Kershaw Knives Livewire, their newest and possibly best USA made knife to ever come out. You guys be the judge of that. I know their other launch series are cool. But yeah, so everything's going to be linked down below in the description. Blue Creek Knives, you know, Barnescraft EDC or Barnescraft Designs, use my codes there. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys have one of these? You know, are you on the fence about one? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up because I am rapidly losing sunlight. But I love you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.